Okay, we're trying this again. My head might be a little cut off, but you'll be able to see what I'm doing. So let's try this again. We have to be able to build. So that's the B. Organize. Organize. Systemize. And then show up. BOSS. That's a boss. You build, you organize, you systemize, and then you show up. And I want to show you how you do that. I'm going to do a little check to make sure I'm getting this in. Be right back. Yeah. Okay, my paper came down, but it's okay. Let me tell you the messy work of figuring it out when you're doing something on a whiteboard, training people. But we talked about build, organize, and systemize. So I have the framework, and I'm going to show you how I lay it out. You'll see me step away from the camera from time to time because I'm following what's on my screen because I don't want to miss anything. So here we go. And I want to say shout out to Rachel Rogers of Hello 7 because I went through her several of her trainings to help me build this framework and then implement it, and it's having some amazing success for my clients. So I learned how to put together this framework based on stuff I had already been doing, but to really put it in a space and in a way that you could take it and understand how you can apply it to your own nonprofit work. So shout out to her. All right, so let me show you. We got the boss, right? We got build, organize, systemize, and show up. All right, S, boss. And I'm gonna put up here nonprofit. That's nonprofit boss. All right, let me make sure it's all in the camera there. All right, you can see that. Nonprofit boss builds, organizes, systemizes, and shows up. So, when we look at this, I'm gonna build 3 rings because there's a process for how we get to this. And the boss part, I'm gonna use another marker. The boss part is in the center. The BOSS. How we build, organize, systemize, and show up. We're about to show you how you make the boss part fully realized right here. Okay, I know it's real small. It's BOSS. But if you email me, I will send you a really nice visual where it really comes together. So take a lot of notes. Watch this over and over again. I promise you it'll all come together. So the boss is in the middle. What is a boss? A boss is a person who builds, organizes, systemizes, and shows up. Because when you build, organize, systemize, and show up, you will see money come in the door. It all equals dollars. So a nonprofit boss is mission focused. You cannot run a nonprofit and not be mission focused. That is the whole purpose of a nonprofit. Unlike a business, a nonprofit is established to drive a mission in society for the good of society. It's not designed to be something that is for the good of your personal wealth like a business. In a business, you create a service, you create a product, you sell the service or product, and that's how you take the money and you do it what you will. The profit that comes from it after you pay your bills and you take care of the cost of delivering the product, you either receive the profit or you distribute it to shareholders. That's what happens in a for-profit business. it is designed for the interest of the owner. In a nonprofit business, it is designed for the interest of society and is driven by a mission. Now, for-profit organizations have missions. They for sure have a mission about all the things that they want to accomplish. We want to make sure there's a PC in every home. I think that was like Apple's for a long time, or Microsoft, one of the computer companies. That was their mission, and it was a mission driven by, this is how we're gonna make money. For a nonprofit organization, it is also mission driven towards a certain social impact. So our mission is to feed people every day in this community to ensure that no child is hungry. That's the mission. So when you're out doing the work of the nonprofit, you have to be very clear about your mission. You have to be very mission focused. Next, you have to be impact driven. So I might have a mission, so we're impact driven. And I might have a focus. I'm focused on the mission of making sure every child, every family in this area has a meal every day. That's very much so my mission. And the impact is that no child is hungry, right? No child hungry. I'm focused on feeding everybody every day, because the outcome or the impact is that nobody's going to be hungry. And you start to say, we don't want anybody hungry, because when people are hungry, they can't work, they can't go to school, they fall into disease and illness. And that's bad for our society as a whole, because sick, diseased, uneducated people are more likely to fall into behaviors that can harm all of us. They're more likely to fall into activity that could be harmful. They're more likely to have personal problems, create a generation of just things that will not be good for them or society as a whole. So our goal is to make sure that they're not hungry, and we do this by making sure that every family in this community is fed. That's the impact we're going to have. And there are people who are like, I know what it was like being hungry when I was growing up, and I don't want to see anybody be hungry because it was detrimental to my family. I don't want to see that for somebody else's family. We know that when people are hungry in this community, we don't have the ability to hire people. We don't have enough workers. It's not good for our society to have people who are sick and ill. It's not good for them. We don't have any workers. That just doesn't happen. So the impact that we are bringing, we're driven on making sure that everybody is fed, because we're following our mission of making sure everybody in this community has access to a meal every single day. That's our goal. If you get a meal every single day, you'll show up to go to school, go to work. You're just going to have an overall better health, and that's overall better for society. And then, in order for us to conduct our mission that will lead us to our impact, we have to be money-minded. And I know that part gives people a little angst, because we believe, how are you a nonprofit and you're money-minded? Nonprofits, ain't that what you don't have no money? Ain't that the whole goal? No. So let's think about a business. A business that's a for-profit, they work to take profit that's for them. That's every business. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the whole purpose of business. You work, sell a service, sell food, sell a product, sell multiple things with the goal at the end of, after all expenses are paid, employees are paid, whatever money's left pays me. I am a for-profit. A non-for-profit says all the dollars that come into the organization is designed to drive the mission so we can achieve the impact that's good for all of society. And after we pay all the bills, we pay all the staff, whatever money's left over, it goes back into the mission. It goes back into the work. As the leader of the nonprofit, I'm paid a salary. That's how I get paid. I get a salary. I don't get a cut of the profits, because the profits are not for me. The profits that come back in are for the nonprofit to continue to do its work, to do greater work, to sustain the work. In a for-profit, you might have board members who get paid some money because they're there to give you expertise, feedback that allows you to grow the company and make more money. At a nonprofit, the board still brings expertise and feedback, but they also bring dollars, because we're all saying we are believing in this mission, we like the impact, and we recognize for the mission and the impact to happen, we got to have money. Because just like a business, you got to have employees, you got to have sometimes a facility, you got to have talent. You need all those things to drive any business, to deliver a product. Whether the business is profitable or not, to actually be in business and deliver a product, you got to have the product, the materials, all that. Whether you make a profit or not depends on how you do your business. Same thing for a nonprofit organization. You still have to have people to do the work. There are some things you can do that's volunteer driven. But if you have a budget of $250,000 or more, most likely you are not a volunteer driven organization if you have a mission. You might be a part of a fundraising committee for a large nonprofit and you all put together $1 million gala every year, right? But you're all volunteers. But most likely there are staff members from the organization helping to drive that event. You're not running the organization and doing the event. If you're running the organization and that organization has a budget of $250,000 or more than likely you are a paid staff person, because to maintain an organization of that size is very difficult to do with people who are volunteers. You might only have 1 or 2 employees doing it, but you need at least 1 or 2, and that means you got to pay them. And you probably have other things that come along with that. There's insurance you have to pay. There's accounting to account for the money. All that money still has to come into the nonprofit and cover its own expenses so they can continue doing the mission-driven impact work. So you have to be money-minded. You have to bring in dollars. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You just have to. If you're a $250,000 plus nonprofit and you're saying we never have to raise any money, then more than likely, as a nonprofit, you either have a service that people pay a fee for, or you have a service that you get reimbursed from the government. That's the only way you're doing it. Because outside of that, you don't have anything to sell. You're not a nonprofit selling things. You might say, well, Yvette, what about a Goodwill? What about Girl Scouts? They have products that they sell, but they also raise money too. Girl Scouts is not just solely being supported by Girl Scout cookie sales. I don't care how much those boxes of cookies cost. I don't care how many you think they sell. They are not 100% supported by Girl Scout cookie sales. That's a portion of their revenue, a significant portion, but it's not the only. Goodwill's the same way. Those stores are not fully funding Goodwill. Habitat for Humanity, the mortgages on those homes are not fully funding that organization. They still have to raise money beyond that because they don't price the product at a level that would be in competition with a for-profit. If Girl Scouts was doing cookies like they did, to be able to be profitable, they'd have to do something with the recipe. They'd have to really push marketing around, put it in a whole lot of spaces, and they wouldn't do it time limited. It wouldn't just be 3 months out the year. It had to be a year-round thing to generate the revenue they would need to fully operate. That would be called a for-profit. That is not a nonprofit because you're not designed to generate all your revenue through sales. That completely ruins the whole nonprofit premise. That ruins the 501c3 purpose. A portion of your money is coming from the public, and it's usually coming in the form of some form of donations. Restore, Goodwill gets tons of donation. Goodwill gets all their inventory, or at least 80% of their inventory through donations. Habitat for Humanity also gets about 8% of the inventory through donations. Girl Scouts get a ton of money through contributions. The volunteer time, the volunteer leaders, the girls, all that's volunteer time. If they were trying to be a for-profit, they would have to pay people to sell those cookies. Totally different model. So, you have to be money-minded. Somebody has to be raising money. So, in order to be a boss, we talk about your video, build, organize, sustain, systemize, and show up. And a part of that is starting to lay out the ability to be mission-focused, impact-driven, and money-minded. That's what you have to do. That's the core of it. So, in order to make these 3 things happen, which solidifies you as a boss, I'm going to show you how the build, organize, systemize, and show up is built into the framework. First, we start with clarity. Clarity around what do we need to operate, okay? So I'm going to do this here. I'm going to show you in a minute. We got to get clear about our work and what about our work is fundable. So clarity of fundability. Okay? Next, we have to be consistent. Consistent consistency of fundability. And then we have to be confident of fundability. We have to be clear about what we need support for. We have to be consistent in talking about that. And then we have to be confident that we're worthy of that. One of the biggest issues I have found when working with nonprofit leaders around raising money is their concern about asking people for money, whether people have money, and feeling like I need to go beg, I need to lean on people, I need to hit people up, I need to do all these things. And I tell people, I don't believe in mafia fundraising. I don't believe in leaning in people. I don't hit people. I don't shake people down. And I don't beg. I never beg. I've never begged for $1 in my life. I ain't begging nobody for no money. I simply share with you the mission, what the mission is striving to accomplish, and what it costs to make it happen. And if that's something you want to do because you too see this as an issue in society, then we work together to make that happen. But the biggest gap in finding people who want to do that kind of work is that most times nonprofits are not clear about what they need. They're not consistent about talking about it, and they don't have the confidence that they can get the money. You just don't believe anybody's going to give you any money. Even if you get some money, you just think that was luck, or it just took so much energy to get up the confidence that one time that the idea of doing it over and over is just exhausting. But I'm showing you how when you're clear and you're consistent, you'll get results, and results builds confidence. Think about any time you sought to lose weight. If you had any success in losing weight, it was because you clearly had a plan that someone gave you, or maybe that you created, that when you implemented the plan, it worked. And you found like, if I do this every day, I start to get results. And when I get the results, it builds my confidence to keep doing the work. I'm like, okay, if I work out, if I lift weights 3 days a week at this level, and I do it like this for 30 minutes, I start to see when I do that 3 times a week for 4 weeks, I'm seeing muscle definition, or I'm starting to see my shape starting to change. That builds your confidence that you're doing the right thing. Lots of times, if you're on a diet and you're not clear, you're not really sure what's driving the success, you lose a pound, you think you know what it is, but then you gain 2 pounds and you're not sure what's happening, and then you get inconsistent because then you don't see results, and then you lose confidence in the diet, and then that's why after a week or 2, you're just like, I ain't doing it no more. Because you really weren't clear on what made it work. When you get clear about what makes something work, and then you start to do it consistently, you will see results, and that will build your confidence. So, in order to build, organize, systemize, and show up, in order to be a nonprofit boss that is mission-focused, impact-driven, and money-minded, you need to be clear, consistent, and confident. All right? Okay. Now, I'm about to break those down for you. Okay, in clarity, you got 3 elements over here. First, you got to make your plan. I work with every nonprofit to help them create a fundraising plan. Most nonprofits are raising money and they don't have a fundraising plan. They put something together, but it's not real clear. They know they need money. They have some ideas of where it could come from, but it's kind of mishmash. They'll go on the internet, find something, and bring it in. They all kind of do some stuff around it, but it's not in any really organized way. And if you recall, one of the things I talked about, you got to build and organize. First thing you do, you got to build and organize your fundraising. Everything we're going to talk about is you have to build it, organize it, systemize it, and show up. So you have to build the plan, organize the plan, the systems that work in with this plan, and then you got to show up and do it. So first you got to make your plan as a part of clarity. You got to know your numbers. Do you know your budget? I work with so many nonprofits. I have a nonprofit right now I'm working with, and I ask them, do you have a board-approved budget? No. They're not a new nonprofit. They've been around 50 plus years, but they had some challenges. The last ED made a lot of bad decisions. Their finance person wasn't any better. So this nonprofit's been operating for the last 2 years without an actual budget. They're just trying to figure stuff out. So I was like, okay, you can't ask people for support and you don't know how much you need. You're out talking to people like, hey, we need support. We're trying to feed the community. And they're going to say, well, I want to help feed you the community. How much do you need? A lot. We need a lot of money. That's not a budget. We need about, $100,000. That's not a budget. Like, well, we got about a couple hundred people. If we just kind of like ballpark it, that's not a budget. That's you making up stuff. And people don't like to give the made up stuff. You can get a little bit of money off of made up stuff, but you cannot build a sustainable nonprofit off of made up stuff. You need to know your numbers. You need to sit down and put together an actual budget that encompasses the cost to deliver the service. You need to know what will it take for us to deliver our mission. In this community, if we know we need to feed 1,000 people every day, we need to know how much that costs, because if we're not able to feed 1,000 people every day in this community, we're not going to achieve our impact. We're not, which tells me I'm not really money minded. I'm just out here playing around. All right. Like I'm playing nonprofit. I'm not being a nonprofit. I'm playing nonprofit. If you're mission focused with a goal of impact driving, you have to understand the money, and that means you got to know your numbers. You have to have a budget. You can't write a grant. You can't go to really any other funders without having a clue about what you need. Okay? Then you have to align your team. You have to have people who know what they're doing. Clarity requires you having a plan, knowing your numbers, and having a team of people that can actually help you make stuff happen. Another issue I see with nonprofits, because they say they're nonprofit and then they pay like crap, horrible. Because they're like, well, we're a nonprofit. We want you with a master's degree and we want to pay you $30,000 a year. But we're a nonprofit. You want to help somebody. You want somebody to come in every day and make sure there's enough food to feed people with nutritious food every single day. And if that requires somebody going out and actually meeting with people, doing case management work with people, if you really want to have impact, you have to have people who have the talent to know how to implement the mission that's going to lead to impact. And you're going to be hard pressed to do it with people that you don't have pay. You can get volunteers, but there are aspects of your program that really requires a paid professional. Volunteers, they show up real good for a couple of months. Anything happens. I'm going traveling. I got sick. I got a job. I'm decided to go volunteer someplace else. You cannot build a nonprofit off of inconsistent labor. Somebody has to show up every single day. Somebody has to do the job every single day to do the mission, to impact drive, to be impact driven, and to make sure money comes in. Anybody giving you dollars wants to know who's on your team. They're going to ask you, so who leads this? Are you the ED? Someone will ask you, are you paid? Who's paid? Who makes sure this happens? Who's tracking the numbers? Who's managing the money? Those are questions that people ask. So the first thing you got to do is be prepared to say, here's our plan. Here's how much it costs to do the work. And here's the team that's making it happen. You have to be clear. All right? You got to be clear. This is a part of the building organized. We're clear. Once we are clear, then we go on to consistency. So what's consistency? Where's my other marker? Okay, let me do this. Okay. Consistency. First, you got to master your time. I talk to EDs. I ain't got no time. My hair is on fire. I'm running around. I'm staff, donors, board, clients. I don't have any time. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. I don't have no time. I'm all over the place. So you can't be consistent. I would write a grant, but I had to put out fires with my staff. I had to do this, that, I just didn't have time. I would have called the donors, but I didn't have time. I would have done this, but I didn't have time. Most time, it's not that you don't have time. You just haven't mastered it. You go do everything else because everything else is easier than asking for money. Everything else is easier. So you put off the thing that you need to make these other things happen, and you blame the fact that I don't have time. You have to master your time because you need time to go out and make asks. And the more consistent you are in making asks, the more money you're going to bring in the door. You have to be consistent with making asks for money, which means you have to have time in your schedule every week to be asking for money every week. Not just every month, not every quarter. Every week you have to be looking at writing a grant, having a donor conversation, doing something that's going to bring in revenue for the organization. And that means you have to chart out the time to do it. All right? I keep referring to my notes here. Okay. You also have to master your money. So, and I'm going to make the connection here. When we make the plan, if I help you implement the plan, like I come alongside you, I still need time to meet with you. And there's still parts you have to do. So that's why I'm making the plan and mastering your time. Like, we got to make a plan and we got to implement it consistently. And once we have a budget, we got to stick to it. We need to stick to our budget. So we can't say we're going to spend, we got a budget of expenses of $700,000, and then we're going to bring an income of $725,000. And then as the year gets to going, we ain't brought in no money and we have spent over. Per month we say, okay, we should be bringing in, $20,000 every month. We should be having in revenue wherever we come from, grants, donors, program fees. We got $20,000 coming in, and then we're spending $18,000. There's so many nonprofits. They got $10,000 coming in, and they got $20,000 going out. Nonprofits are good for not mastering money, which is why a lot of times they don't know the numbers because they're not living by no way. They do whatever they want to do. And then they look up and they're financially in trouble. The board's and they're scratching their head. They scratching their head. Well, what happened? Well, we don't know. We just say the other. You don't understand your money. See how we start to make coalition here? Because I'm not consistent with my time and paying attention to the money. We don't have none. And the board's on my back, or I told people we're going to do this work. We told people we're going to feed everybody, but we're not doing it. And people are trying to hold us accountable to our mission. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. Get clear and then get consistent. Master your time, master your money, and then master your systems. What's happening here when we master our systems? When we master our systems, that means all the things that help us track the work, the website, the financial management software, the donor management software, the productivity software, the policies and procedures manual, the program manual, the development manual, all the things that help us do our work in a way that's not based on who's doing it. So-and-so comes in here, and when she distributes the food, she gives 5 bags of food to every family. Jennifer come in, and she thinks that's too much food, so she only gives 3 bags to every family. John comes in and he don't pay attention to none. Some people get 5, some people get 3. Susie writes a grant. She don't know really how much money we need, so she we need $100,000, and she writes in the grant, we're going to serve 1 million people. Because, she's trying to make this real big grant so she can get this $100,000. We're going to serve 1 million people. Somebody else is like, we're going to go write this 10-page grant for $1,000. We're putting all of our money in an Excel spreadsheet. Nobody's tracking anybody's time. Some people supposed to be working 40 hours. We only see them 20. Some people working 60. We're not organized. We're just all over the place because we don't have systems. when you want to become consistent, you have to have the time to make sure you're clear so you can master the money, and your systems play a role in all that. Having systems ensure consistency in delivery of service, consistency in how we pay attention to the money, consistency about our expenses, consistency about our income, consistency about what we say we can deliver. Anybody who's giving you money is going to eventually ask you questions, and if you follow this, you'll actually ever have answers. You won't be sitting like, well, I don't know, I'm not sure, I'm confused. No, because you're like, look, here's our plan, here's how much it costs, here's the team that's going to implement it, and I'm going to make time to meet with people every week. I want to make sure we are staying within budget, and I can go and pull information quick because I have it systemized. I have my files in a certain place. I systemize my emails. Our finance person, hey, I need the profit loss and a balance sheet for last month. They go in there. They go into the QuickBooks. They go into Peachtree. They pull out the report. I need to know a donor list of people who gave to us last year. They go in there into the database. They pull it out. Systems. What's our policy for doing this? We ain't making it up. No, we got a policy for it. That breeds, you just don't understand, just being clear and consistent will draw people to you because they're so used to going to somebody to do something, and it's just like chaos. People like things that are clear, that's easy, they understand it, because then they know how to help you because you're clear. Okay? Clarity, consistency. So last, we got to get to confidence. We're clear, we're consistent, we'll get results. Just like the diet. I'm clear about what to eat. I'm consistent with the exercise, and in eating, I start to see results. My confidence is built. And when my confidence is built, you literally go to attract money. When you are out, when you master your time, your money, and your systems, now, and you got your plan, because your plan is going to say what we're going to do to raise money, then you will look up and you will unlock allies. These are your volunteers. Your volunteers, your board members. When you are clear about what you're striving to do, and you start to be consistent with sharing that message, and you're paying attention to your money and doing all the things, you're going to unlock, you're going to attract folk who want to be involved. Everybody wants to be a part of a winner. Everybody. Your organization's doing great stuff. You're consistent. You're clear. Your messaging makes sense. Whenever I talk to you, you seem like you know what you're doing. I want to support. You're going to unlock allies. You're going to learn how to prioritize your fans. What does that mean? You learn how to prioritize the people who've already been a part of what you're doing, because you are feeling good about your work. You're confident because you're clear, you're consistent, you're getting results, so you're confident. So you go out there, and the people that's been supporting you, you make sure, you're like, I am making sure that you are aware of how we're doing stuff, because I feel good about it. I'm not nervous anymore. I'm bringing in new people, so we have you helping us, and now we got other people. People love it when you're just like, thank you for your $100. Your $100 allows us to go get another $100. People be like, you got more money because I gave you money? Yeah, we was going to go get more. Let me give you more. It literally will happen. I promise you that. And then you will, at this phase, when you're confident, you will master the ask, because you don't have a problem asking for money, because now it's a happy, joyous moment. Because you're not stumbling around. You have something to share. You believe in it. It's working. You're thrilled. You're happy to ask people for money. It will seem like it's wrong not to. I go and talk to people every day about money, and I feel a sense of joy because I know the work we do. I know the mission is on point. I know that I can tell you the results. And because I know we need dollars, I know how to present it in a way that gets you excited. I know how to make the ask in a way that you're like, I want to be involved. Everybody who asks for money is not going to give it to you. But when you're confident, you don't get discouraged by somebody saying no. You're just like, I understand everybody has their own passion. This is just not yours. Thank you so much for meeting with me. If you know of somebody whose passion this might be, let me know, connect me. Done that before too. You just start to master the ask. So at this point, you are unlocking allies, you're prioritizing your fans, and you're mastering the ask. All this part happens here. So here's what I want you to do. because I shared the framework that will allow you to build, organize, systemize, and show up like a boss. That's a boss. Because a boss is what? Mission driven, mission focused, impact driven, money minded. And they're able to do that because they're clear, they're consistent, and they're confident. And there's all these things that are built into doing that. And that's all the things that allowed you to build. I want you to go back through and ask yourself these questions. Do we have a fundraising plan? If you do, mark this section like green, like we're good. If you don't, mark it like red. We don't have a plan. Do I have a budget? Like, yeah, we got a budget. Mark that green, okay? Because that means we got that covered. Do I have a good team? If you're like, well, some people are good, some people aren't, do like a half green, half red. If you're like, oh, my team's a disaster, okay, that's a red. My team is solid. That's a green. Then move to consistency. Do you make time in your week, every week, to do work that raises money? Is that a green or a red? And you say, well, how much time should I be dedicating, Yvette? A minimum 10% of your time? I mean, that's like if you're just now starting, okay? I have a 40-hour work week, 4 hours a week. You should just start there. But you really should be at 50%. At least 20 hours a week should be dedicated to raising money. But once you really build a solid team, you will be amazed at how you can get to that number. Most times, nonprofits are not able to spend that kind of time on fundraising because they're spending too much time with a team that's not talented. They don't have a good team. Doesn't mean they're not good people. Good people don't make a good team because everybody can't do every job. You have a good team, you'll start to have the time to just focus on fundraising, okay? You will be paying attention to your budget. Ask yourself, okay, we have a budget, that's a green, but are we on our year-to-dates right? If we said we're supposed to be at $40,000 by this month in income and at $30,000 in expenses, are we there? Are we close? And if we're not, why? We don't wait until the end of the year to realize we're upside down. We're looking at that thing almost weekly so that we can adjust. So we can say, okay, I wrote 5 grants last month. I talked to 2 of the program officers. I'm about 75% confident of how much money is going to come in. So we can start to do some projections. All right? Why does this matter? If you're talking to a donor about dollars and they're like, well, how much more do you still need? It's like, well, we're about halfway to our goal this year. We still need, our goal was $1 million. We're about $500,000, we still need $500,000. Or we still need $75,000. And because we're paying attention to the work that we're doing, we know that if we get to $75,000, we will meet the impact we said we could meet if we had this amount of money. And your systems allow you to know that. Because you're like, I can pull the reports to know exactly. My reports tell me where we are from financially. My reports tell me are in terms of who we're serving, how we're serving them, what kind of progress we're making, because I got systems. All right? So look at your money and then move it to your systems. Do we have financial software? Are we still using Excel spreadsheets? Do we have a donor database? Or are we still using Excel spreadsheets? Do we have policies and procedures for our programs? Or are we just making it up as we go? Do we have even like board policies and procedures? Do we have job descriptions? If you like, Yvette, you asked me to do too much. It's a red. If you're like, girl, I got that. I'm super organized. It's a green, right? Then we get up to here. Because if you're doing all this should become easy. Because then it's like, okay, you got your budget, you're on top of your money, you're mastering it, you got your systems in place. Are you out talking to people? So when you're talking about prioritizing your fans, I want to add here, prioritizing your fans, storytelling. Am I sharing our story? This is like all your marketing. So I really need to put that part in there. Prioritizing your fans. I'm making sure that we're telling them what's going on. We're marketing our programs. Our website's up to date. We have an email. We're doing all those things to let our people know who are giving us money, we are doing good stuff with your money. And we're not only telling them, when they hear it, they're sharing it with people. And then we're going to unlock eyes because of the storytelling that we're doing, the marketing that we're doing, the story sharing. I'm out talking to people. That's the show up. I'm out talking to people. I'm out asking for the dollars. And I feel confident in doing that because I'm clear and I'm consistent. This is all how it works. So you're like, am I out making ads for money? Am I at least submitting grants every week? Am I talking to individual donors? And green or red? Am I prioritizing my fans? Do I at least make sure people who give us money get a thank you letter? Am I making sure that our board members know that they're appreciated? Am I making sure I appreciate our volunteers? Unlocking allies. When people who have never interacted with us first hear about us, are they going to be turned on or turned off? Like, are we showing them something that's worthy of getting involved in? They heard about us, but when they really get to know us, are they like, you know what, sign me up to give, to volunteer, to support, whatever. That's unlocking your allies. When you're a nonprofit boss, you are able to build, organize, systemize, and show up. And you're able to do that when you focus around a framework of clarity, consistency, and confidence. And all the things that come with that. That's the nonprofit boss framework. So if you want to learn more, understand how you can take this and really implement it for yourself, you can take what I gave you and kind of play around with that and see how far you can get on your own. Or you can call, you can set up a consult, you can email me, we can get together on a call, we can talk about what your needs are, and we can talk about how I can help you through the nonprofit boss system to raise more money. I promise you'll have less stress. I know everybody doesn't believe it, but you will. And you can see yourself start to go further. You will start to see yourself run the nonprofit that is run so well that people just are happy to support and give dollars, because people love to support organizations that are clear, consistent, and confident. They just really do. I've been doing this 20 plus years. All these systems I'm telling you about are things that I've been using. I've developed this over time. Like, what makes people give money? And this is what I figured out. If a nonprofit leader institutes this, they can't do nothing but win. So, all right, that's all I got for y'all today. I hope you enjoyed.